Instead, the CPSC tests how much heavy metal would actually seep out of a child. Oh
man, I just knocked over my camera. I'm picking it up. Sorry about that.
Hi my lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. Before we start today's video, I want to give a big shout out to those who submitted it in my Google Doc. That is where, if you have a video idea you really want me to get to, I am most likely to see it, because it gets kind of like overwhelming to keep track of all the ideas when they're submitted in my regular comment section, along with other comments that are about the topics that I'm talking about. The thing that got submitted to the form most since posting it on the community tab was Zhu Zhu Pets, so I figured it'd be fair if we start off there first. Especially since Zhu Zhu Pets were such a huge part of my childhood. Basically, Zhu Zhu Pets were these robotic toy hamsters, although they've definitely surpassed or expanded upon just the regular hamsters, which we'll get into. And they were created by Sephia LLC. The Zhu Zhu Pets were first released back in 2009, and similar to lulaloopsey, they gained popularity amongst the holiday season. As you can imagine, although they originally retailed for like $9, when Zhu Zhu Pets understandably began to sell out because of the popularity they'd gained, they began to resell online for even over $100 because of shortages. Each Zhu Zhu Pet had a unique name, personality, and symbol, known as a birthmark, on their back, and the gimmick with these toys was if you pressed on their back or nose, they'd make animal noises, or the most infamous one I remember, go, go, go! Pressing on their backs would also unleash the Zhu Zhu Pet's ability to explore whatever room they were in, which is why they had wheels located on the bottom of the toy, or if you spent the extra money, they had various play sets with tracks so that the Zhu Zhu Pets could actually race through them. Some of the play sets included the pizza shop, the airport, treehouse, and even a princess castle. But there were also just some straight up tracks that you could buy and connect and rearrange, which I believe is what I had as a kid, although I don't have any of them to this day. I have very vague memories of like them running through the tracks, so someone I knew had them or I had them. I do know for a fact that I had this blue car though, and it came with a garage to park it in. I remember like years later trying to use it for my Beanie Boos and my LPS, but it didn't really work with them in the same way it worked with Zhu Zhu Pets. But to get into the first line of Zhu Zhu Pets, the original line alone had like 40 regular pets along with 7 special editions, and I don't think you guys want to listen to me list off 47 names of robotic hamsters. So we're gonna focus on the pets I had growing up. Arguably these were some of the most iconic anyway, like Mr.Squiggles, Num Nums, Pipsqueak, Chunk, Jilly, Nugget, and Patches are my complete childhood collection, I think. Kinda disappointed I never had any of the pets from like generation 6 and onward, because the designs are so like colorful and fun and just right up my alley. I'm a little shocked. Specifically, Snickle Fritz and Pumpkin are very fun with their mohawks and stand out to me. I also love just how scraggly their fur gets in like the later generations, like Sophie, Green Bean, Toodles, and Friday for examples. Before we move any further though, I have something very interesting that I hadn't heard about prior to doing like research for this video, which is the initial scandal that Zhu Zhu Pets actually got themselves into thanks to a little someone named Mr.Squiggles. Basically, in December of 2009, testing was done by the consumer organization Good Guide, where they initially thought to have found more than the allowed level of toxic, silvery metalloid antimony in specifically the Mr.Squiggles Zhu Zhu Pets toy. Basically, the way Good Guide had actually gotten the test results was by using a special gun that shoots x-rays into the toy and gives a reading for how much lead, antimony, and other substances are in the material, which was not recognized at the time, I don't know if it is now, by the CPSC for judging whether or not a toy is hazardous. Instead, they test how much heavy metal would actually seep out if a child had sucked or swallowed on a toy, not just how much of a potentially dangerous substance a toy contains. So according to those standards, Sephia was in the clear, Zhu Zhu Pets were not harmful, so Good Guide ended up issuing the following statement after recognizing their error. While we accurately reported the chemical levels in the toys that we measured using our testing method, we should not have compared our results to federal standards. We regret this error. Can I just say, reading this for the first time felt so, because what do you mean they used a gun that shoots x-rays into a toy?
In 2009!
What kind of universe is this? Luckily for Sephia LLC, this did not affect sales, and according to an NBC News article covering the situation, they had their biggest weekend of the year, like right after this happened. However, I do want to note that Sephia did go on to do their own tests following the situation to just ensure the safety of their toys going forward, though this was probably like just for the best overall anyways. It's always good to monitor those types of things with, you know, especially when you're marketing these to children, just even if there's no cause for concern, so good on their part. But yeah, this was their first and only scandal, and it was really a big misconception, so I thought it was interesting to note because I didn't even know this happened. But moving on to 2010, we saw a lot of additions to the ZHU-niverse, but these releases mixed things up a bit design-wise. The first line of pets we saw in early 2010 were called the rock stars.
Now the hamsters have some rockin' friends!
And similar to Pumpkin and Snickle Fritz, who I pointed out earlier, they all rocked these super cute fuzzy mohawks. Their birthmarks also happen to be more music related to fit the running theme. Shockingly, the rock stars are the only G1 toy line that doesn't have a unique logo, which is kind of a shame or like missed opportunity with how cool this concept is, honestly. Like the whole music theme, they could have done something really creative. And I'm guessing this is because since Zhu Zhu Pets were still so new at this point, they hadn't yet implemented that into their releases yet. The Rockstars line had a total of 12 pets overall, named Annabelle, Hutch, Josie, Snuggums, Spike, Levi, Littlebit, and Lucky. A fun fact too about this line is 4 of its pets were actually inspired by the children of celebrities such as Angelina Jolie and Gwen Stefani. These pets were named Roxy Ryder, Paxed, and Kingston. The next release that Zhu Zhu Pets did after this wasn't actually a toy release, but a game release instead. This was their first game, and it released on March 21st, 2010, and it was Zhu Zhu Pets for the Nintendo DS. The game is basically about taking care of the Zhu Zhu Pets. You can feed them, give them water, make them exercise, and make them use the bathroom and put them to sleep. You can also do adventures with your Zhu Zhu Pets, and at the beginning of the game, you basically select a zoo, and you have between Chunk, Mr.Squiggles, Num Nums, Patches, and Pipsqueak, but later in the game you can also unlock Nugget, Scoodles, Jilly, and Winky, and by playing adventures, you could also receive Zhu Zhu babies, which can be held in the nursery. After the launch of the game, we didn't see our next line until the summer of 2010, and they were called the Wild Bunch. And this time around, they were themed around small woodland animals. Similar to the Rockstars line, this brought in 12 regulars, which included Sweetie, Butters, Zuzu, but it's spelled Zuzu, Nutters, Nilla, Stinker, Jelly, Heidi, Rocco, Bucky, Scout, and Forest. Unlike the previous releases though, there were 2 special editions in the Wild Bunch, and even 2 unreleased pets as well that we know of. Nutters is listed as both a special edition and a regular. I don't know if there's any key difference that I'm missing or if this was an error, but we also have Fluffy too, who's this super cute bunny. As for the unreleased pets, there's Chipper, who's kind of a cross between Nutters and Butters, but kind of cuter in my opinion. And then we have Billy, which I'm sorry, that name does not fit this line at all. I can see why he didn't make the cut, I guess. Well, from what I can see. Following this release though, we did get a sequel for our first ever Zhu Zhu Pets game, and the sequel includes the Wild Bunch, and I'm speculating it released around this time since I wasn't able to find an exact date, so take that with a grain of salt. The player could play as one of 5 hamsters, Mr. Squiggles, Pipsqueak, Num Nums, Chunk, and Patches, and the story starts off by explaining the Wild Bunch, a group of Zuzus that live in the wild.
In a city not far from your own, there lives a group of hamsters who love to explore and have fun. Meet the Zhu Zhu Pets. They like to do many of the same things you love to do. Meet the Wild Bunch. They're a mischievous bunch of Zuzus that live in the wilderness. They also like to play games and race each other, as well as the Zhu Zhu Pets. But watch out, because they can get a little rambunctious.
The Zhu Zhu pet Yo-Yo then goes on an adventure all by herself, and you receive a letter from Yo-Yo that she's trying to find the lost treasure of Captain Zhu the First, and welcomes you to join the search with her. The Wild Bunch also hears of this though, and tries to take the treasure for themselves, and this game then splits between 2 main objectives, taking care of the Zhu Zhu pets and following the story. Also, it's here in my research that I discovered that's why Nutters is listed as a special edition and and a regular pet because he was included with the game in some of the packaging, but he's also listed as a regular, so I guess he was also sold with the regular pets too. At least from my understanding, that seems to be what's going on here. Next, in mid-2010, we got one of the most iconic releases with the line Kung Zhu, which was basically like, I'll put it this way, if Disney XD was in the ZHU-niverse. So very much obviously targeted at boys. Kung Zhu was a line themed around zoos from the military and ninja clans. This line brought in 10 regular releases and 1 special edition and 21 unreleased. Before we even attempt to unpack that, let's take a look at who did get released. We have Abrams, Draco, Rivet, Rock-O, but it's spelled Rock-O, Cold Space, Sergeant Surge, Siege W5, Goslar, Sphinx, Stonewall, Tekla, Thorn, 10? Yama, Jammer, KZ, Dogmar, and Azur. And Tool, who was a special edition pet who came with the Kung Zhu DS game. And the gist of this game was basically you would go through levels, collecting orbs, and beating up enemies. The unreleased pets for this line are pretty standard of what you'd be expecting, so I'm going to focus my attention elsewhere on something more important. Why are there so many unreleased Kung Zhu pets? The truth is, Kung Zhu has a whole other subsection of pets that didn't get released called Kung Zhu Monsters. The Kung Zhu's unreleased monster line featured Kung Zhus with detailed eyes, claws, and other unique features. They were apparently designed and first showcased in fall of 2010, and were even mentioned several times after this, like at the New York Toy Fair and the London Toy Fair, both in 2011, so it's completely unknown and extremely odd, honestly, as to why these never even made it to shelves. In my opinion, I truly like these more than the line of Kung Zhu that we actually got. I mean, if these are just prototype designs, like imagine what the final product could have actually looked like. I also love that there's one named fucking Jump Scare. Oh wait! That's not the original name. So, what inspired that name?
Is this just what we think of him?
I promise you'll never scare me. Now, as I said, this was a very boy, obviously targeted line, so of course we had to have its girl targeted counterpart. Our next release, which happened in December of 2010, was the Princess line.
Gender roles? Back at it again!
Zhu Zhu's Princess line, more commonly known as Magical Zhu Zhu Princess, was a line themed mostly around princesses and fantasy, and we got 9 Princess Zhus for this line, which included Moonmist, Aloysius. And this is why you look up how to pronounce stuff before you sit down and film, Lula. And on that note, Sebel. Lyric, Serenity, Princess Chloe, Princess Snowcup, Prince Dashington, and my personal favorite, Rivet! The nose as the tongue?
Fucking genius. That's all I have to say.
This is also where we got the Princess Castle playset that I briefly mentioned earlier, which is truly cool as fuck. I'm falling for the gender roles, but you could make the Princess Zhu and Prince Zhu, or any Zhu for that matter, dance together. I love this. And just like all the previous lines, there was also DS games released for both Kung Zhu and the Princess Zhu line, which is honestly really fun. I never realized how many games were released for this line, and it's kind of a shame that I never got to play any of them. Another cool thing that released around this time though were the Zhu Zhu Pets Burger King toys, and a total of 4 types of zoos were included in this release, which totaled 16 toys overall. The types of zoos included in this release were the On the Move zoos, the snowboarding zoos, the round and round zoos, and the surfin' zoos. We also got our first batch of Zhu Zhu Babies, which was a spin-off line of Zhu Zhu Pets. Zhu Zhu Babies, unlike the original Zhu Zhu Pets, are not electronic or plush, although they do have this fuzzy textured skin, but plastic. Toys articulated with a small ball under their belly so they could still move around. And Zhu Zhu Babies were first released back in 2009, but they were just paired with the regular Zhu Zhu Pets line and had the regular Zhu Zhu Pets logo on their packaging. However, the Zhu Zhu Babies eventually got their own line of toys with the release of the second generation pets in 2011. And the original Zhu Zhu Babies are actually quite different from the ones that ended up being released. For example, all of the earlier Zhu Zhu Babies appear standing on all 4 of their paws, similar to our standard Zhu Zhu Pets. There were only initially like 7 babies too, but in the second generation, they are a lot more posed, if that makes sense. There's more variety.
They took my fucking eyes.
Zhu Zhu babies also used to only have one add-on, which was the baby stroller, although some sets had sidecars that could accommodate them, but with their own toy line, several add-ons were released, including the Tiny Tot Gym, the Patty Cake Preschool, the newborn nursery, and vehicles such as Ladybug stroller or the Bluebird buggy, just to name a few. Another fun fact about the babies too is just like all of the other lines thus far, they indeed got their own game too. Okay, the first 3 I was expecting, but the babies? Really? I mean, they were a part of the first game, so I guess I shouldn't be too shocked. But besides the babies, 2011 was pretty bare boned when it came to Zhu Zhu Pets releases. The only other line that came out were the Zhu Zhu puppies, which I had no idea even existed. Like, the whole thing that got Zhu Zhu Pets to where they are is that these stood out among the typical robotic toy niche. Even though I only ever had the hamsters, personally, many of my animal hyperfixations I had as a kid tended to be small rodent animals. Like hamsters was a big one, for example, which is why I became obsessed with things like Zhu Zhu Pets or Mason hamsters. I even had a hamster of my own at this time named Skittles, which looked so eerily similar to their mascot. I know I shouldn't even be shocked by this, but cats and dogs? Really? That's the best you could do? Did we lose the plot? What is happening? It's so drastically different from where they started 2 years ago.
2 years ago, mind you.
Like, usually a business move like this happens further down the line, something like LPS where they drastically change the whole design and they lose a ton of fans in the process. But the Zhu Zhu Pets were really just getting started, so it's really confusing to me. Anyway, the Zhu Zhu puppies and 2 cats were released back in 2011, and this line gave us 21 dogs and 2 cats in total. Their designs are also kind of like Uncanny Valley to me. I think this would qualify. I mean, they're robots? But the more I began to like research and look into this line, the more I just became in disbelief almost about the fact that Zhu Zhu puppies were actually the 3rd biggest released toy line among the ZHU-niverse. Never in my life have I seen like a conversation and people bring up Zhu Zhu Pets and they're like, this is so nostalgic, and they bring up Zhu Zhu puppies. But to throw everything I said out the window, there's actually a Zhu Zhu puppy named Lula.
Style! Talula's so chic!
Bitches be like, this is me if you even care.
No, I need you guys to hear me.
Canonically speaking, I am technically a part of the ZHU-niverse. And that is me if you even care. As a Beanie Boo collector who dreamed of having my unique ass name being used for a Beanie Boo, I may have cried a little. Lula also happens to be one of the least scary looking designs in this line, and no, I'm not just being biased, okay? I also really like Murphy. Look at him, he's so silly! And before we move on, just like every other line, these Zhu Zhu puppies did in fact get their own DS game. This is the last toy line that actually ended up receiving a game though, that released with it, and I think it's probably due to low sales, which we will get more into and talk about later. On to more important things though. Just because there were no releases doesn't mean nothing happened in 2011. Besides the minimal releases that came in 2011, the biggest thing that happened this year was the Zhu Zhu Pets getting their own movie. The movie was titled Quest for Zoo and released on September 27th, 2011, but also aired on Nickelodeon on December 4th, 2011. The plot of this movie is basically it follows Pipsqueak, who is the main character and gets swept away to the other side of the ZHU-niverse, and heads off on an adventure with friends Mr.Squiggles, Chunk, and Num Nums. And on their journey, they must do whatever it takes to overcome obstacles, find Zufu, and defeat Mazula, who is the villain of this movie, I'm pretty sure. This movie starred the likes of Ian Corlett as Mr. Squiggles, who you might know for his work as Johnny Test's dad, Funshine Bear, who he actually went on to reprise the role of in the movies I grew up in, which was really fun to find out, and his role as 20 different characters on the show Dinosaur Train, including the conductor most infamously. And it gets better, he got cast in Dinosaur Train partly because his kids were also cast as the lead characters, which I had no idea about. Shannon Chan Kent, who played our main character Pipsqueak, also does Pinkie Pie's singing voice in My Little Pony. And speaking of My Little Pony, Kathleen Barr, who plays Mazula, has done various voice acting work, including Trixie Lulamoon in My Little Pony, you know I had to mention her, and Queen Chrysalis, which explains her work in this movie as the villain too. This movie actually went on to be nominated for a Golden Reel Award for Outstanding Achievement in Sound Editing for a non-theatrical animation, long form, although the winner was actually Megamind. What in the multiverse madness? Hot take, just while we're here. I love Megamind. I fucking love Megamind. Such an underrated masterpiece, in my opinion, and some of you
just don't get it, and you probably never will.
To get back on topic though, there were actually supposed to be 4 films in the Zhu Zhu Pets cinematic universe. Or should I say, Zhu-niverse. Yeah! With the second full-length feature film being titled Power of Zhu, which actually did go on to have a released trailer, and was supposed to be released on DVD sometime in 2012. However, nothing ever came of it. Guess who made a mistake? So when I was talking about the Zhu Zhu Pet movies in this section, I actually said Power of Zhu is the name of the third movie too. I don't know if I accidentally put it twice in my script or something, but the name of the third movie is actually The Secret of Zhu. Also, when I was doing some further investigating, I found out that The Secret of Zhu does in fact have a trailer that is on the Sephia LLC website. When I was reading information, it didn't sound like there was a trailer. I didn't read anywhere that there was a trailer. I only read that certain people were cast for the third movie, which they are, and they're shown in the trailer, which is definitely the highlight of the trailer. Why are these clips so unhinged?
You'll need some help from a master of darkness.
Wait, you're the Wizard of Dark Zhu.
You will address me as Supreme Soy. Or Steve.
And Brad Garrett.
I said it. Hello. Actually, he has my eyes, which worries me. He's got the bag.
But I made another discovery too when investigating on the Sephia LLC website. See, I mentioned a 4th movie, which is Journey to Glow-E, and that title immediately kind of struck me as odd. It just didn't really fit that well. Not to say that every movie needed to have like Zoo in the name, but upon further digging, Sephia LLC has another toy called Glow-E, and it was these like light up bears, and they have a separate movie about that toy. So I don't know if there was some kind of mix-up here. I'm really thinking that there's not a 4th movie, but then when I was able to find the second movie online, which we'll get into in a minute, not to spoil my own video, I saw a comment talking about, oh, I hope we get Journey to Glow-E. I don't know if there was more. I didn't read too much of the comment section. That was just something that stood out to me at the very top of it. But let me know what you think in the comments. Was this supposed to be some like kind of collab movie? Or is this just a really odd coincidence? The other 2 film titles had already been decided for feature films as well. They were set to be Power of Zhu and Journey to Glow-E, but no other films or even plans for films ever came to fruition. As for the Power of Zhu, although it was completed, it never saw any type of official release. And the most interesting part to me is it was actually secretly distributed to TV stations in France and Brazil under the title Amazing Adventures of Zhu. So luckily this isn't a case of lost media like you were probably thinking. In fact, as of September 2022, the full film has been uploaded here on YouTube if you are interested in checking it out. Coinciding with the film's release, there was also a Nintendo DS game adaptation of the film, which released in stores the same day as the movie did. The other thing that was done in promotion for this movie as well were McDonald's Happy Meal toys. So no, you weren't just like making it up, they did have McDonald's Happy Meal toys. Although arguably, I think the Burger King ones are cooler, although these are really cool figurines as well. I mean, the Burger King ones are more true to what we know from Zhu Zhu Pets. These are more true to the movie. So while searching for the McDonald's commercial to put in this segment of the video, I made another discovery. So when I was initially searching the McDonald's toys, this photo came up, which was like a work in progress prototype version of the McDonald's toys. And then the rest of the information was talking about these figurines. But I have reason to believe that these aren't McDonald's toys, that they are potentially just a DVD release figurine toy. Because when you look up the commercial, a whole other set of McDonald's toys that resembles the work in progress photo I showed pops up in the commercial. And when I was originally reading information online, it seemed like these toys just never came to fruition, and instead we got figurines to promote the movie. However, after I came to the conclusion that, hey, maybe they had 2 releases or 2 batches of McDonald's toys, I actually found this photo where we can clearly see the very same figurines in the DVD with the movie. So that's why I have reason to believe that these aren't actually McDonald's toys, but a figurine release that came in select boxes of the movie Quest for Zoo. However, because this movie was in promotion for Zhu Zhu Pets, the McDonald's toys therefore are still in promotion for Zhu Zhu Pets, but they do stay true to what we know from Zhu Zhu Pets, not the movie designs like I'm talking about in this video. And honestly, I really like the Quest for Zoo's designs of our main characters, so I think that's why I think these figures are so cool. There were 4 figures in total you could collect, which were 1 for each of our main characters. So these included Pipsqueak, Mr.Squiggles, Chunk, and Num Nums. Now, you would think this would be the highest peak yet for Zhu Zhu Pets, and a lot more would be, in store for us and soon to come, but unfortunately it's here where things start to take a slight turn. In 2012, we saw the release of 2 more lines. The first one was Zoofari, which is a line themed around safari animals. This line brought us 9 more pets to add to the ZHU-niverse, which included Zuri Magenta, Bako, Ozzy, Louie, Zulu, Wharton, Zaza, and Jack. We also had 12 pets that were never released, and let me just say, justice for Camo and Chompers. Also, something I forgot to mention was the, some of them came with safari-themed babies, but they also had a set of unreleased babies, which I was able to find on the wiki, and
saying I'm obsessed with them is a complete understatement.
The crocodile. Please let me take him home. This isn't fair! What does Zhu Zhu Pets have against crocodiles? We have already strayed so far from the plot that I think it would have been fun. Following this line, we had the ponies. I don't even have any words for this one, guys. All I have to say is they should have went with Zoolantis. Maybe this would have saved them. Justice for Zoolantis. I just think that there was potential. Even that name is better than Zhu Zhu Ponies. But yeah, after the ponies, that was seemingly the end for Zhu Zhu Pets. They kind of had a quiet disappearance due to declining sales in 2012. This was all despite all the different releases they had come out with following the success of the original Zhu Zhu Pets and the movie they had just released.
You think it would have been their prime.
In 2015, though, they were actually set to make a comeback with all new, brand new designs, but these were ultimately scrapped in favor for the 2017 reboot designs. But if we sat here and compared the two, I would have to say I 100% prefer the scrapped 2015 designs all the way. This change was made, though, because the reboot 2017 designs resembled the characters in the show we ended up getting. Yes, Sephia made a Zhu Zhu Pets show along with this release. I am getting flashbacks to LPS 2013. No! Get me out of here! Not again! The show was titled The Zhu Zhus and was produced by Nelvana and Sephia LLC. The show was first announced on February 12th, 2015 on USA Today as a Nelvana production with the planned release of 2016, which it eventually did on September 12th, 2016. And it aired on, get this, Disney Channel. When I tell you, my jaw actually dropped to the floor. Why was I not aware of this? I didn't even know there was a show. And 2016 to 2017 was right around the time where I stopped watching Disney Channel, but I still remember Monstober 2016. That was one of the last times I ever tuned in. So realistically, according to my calculations, I should have seen this at least once. Something weird about this show, though, is they aired only 7 episodes before having a full-on hiatus, and upon its return, they just decided that the main character's name should be changed from Polly to Frankie. We don't know why, though from what I was able to find online, it's heavily speculated it's because of Polly Pocket, but I don't know, that doesn't really make sense to me. Those are on 2 sides of the toy universe. I really don't know how that would be that big of a problem. Eventually though, all 7 episodes that were previously broadcasted on Disney Channel were then redubbed to say Frankie instead of Polly. I've just never heard of a show doing this before. Very odd to me. Anyway, the show followed our main character Frankie and the Pamplemousse family, and they live in this town called Anytown. Townsville tease. Cityville, is that another one? I think it is. Everyone in Cityville was getting into the Christmas spirit. Also, what kind of name is Cityville? It's like you didn't even try to make this place sound legitimate. If you told me it was on Google Maps,
I would not believe you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Townsville. You fit the shoe too. And basically the Pamplemousse family runs a plumbing home business called Pamplemousse Plumbing. Wow, what a creative name, guys! And Frankie owns 4 talking hamsters called the Zhu Zhus, named Pipsqueak, Mr. Squiggles, Num Nums, and Chunk. And the series basically follows the adventures they have together. Ultimately, the show ended up being pretty short-lived, just having 1 season, with the last episode airing on August 22nd, 2017. And after that, it was just truly it for Zhu Zhu Pets.
You thought it was over.
Well, at least that's what we thought. In May of 2023, Cephia LLC ended up filing a trademark for Zhu Zhu, and the following month, in June, the Zhu Zhu Pets website was just completely wiped clean. They removed all the information about their previous Zhu Zhu Pets reboot that happened in 2017. Instead, the website was replaced with a white background and black text that reads, "All new, Zhu Zhu, coming soon." Under this, it shows the copyright for Cephia LLC of 2023 as well, and a contact section that when clicked, it redirects you to their main website with all of their contact info. And apparently among this speculation, many members of Cephia have confirmed these claims, specifically specifying it would be for their 15th anniversary. Although I didn't search out to confirm these claims, it's been confirmed now, so it doesn't really matter. And to answer when it was confirmed, it wasn't till September of 2023 that Cephia uploaded a video with the first Zhu Zhu Pets line for 2024. The first line is called Zhu Zhu Aquarium, and it was first showcased at the New York Toy Fair in October of 2023 and is set to release in stores around spring of 2024. Zhu Zhu Aquarium is very similar to Zoolantis, which I don't know why they didn't just use that name, but the line is themed around marine animals that you'd find in an aquarium or the ocean, and we know based off the commercial that Cephia uploaded that 6 Zhu Zhu fish will be ready to collect in spring of 2024. But overall, there are 17 known Zhu Zhu fish in the series, and funny enough, one of these Zhu Zhu Aquarium fish actually has my name as well. Name reveal? Well, not really. Okay, Lula's what I go by online mostly, and in person too. I've chosen to go by that mostly since middle school, but my full name is Talula, except it's spelled Talula. But you know what? I can just pretend. Because I used to be absolutely pissed as a kid because having a unique name, especially a unique name where I know they won't spell it like mine, just meant that I couldn't have any toys or characters that shared my name, except for that one cousin from Meet the Robinsons. Though once again, not spelled like mine. Anyway, she's set to be one of the first released in spring of 2024, so maybe if this video gets like 100k views, I will buy her and film a review. Okay, but I would probably do that regardless. But for now, that's all that's really known about the Zhu Zhu's reboot, and thank you so much for diving into the ZHU-niverse with me. Before I do my usual outro, I didn't really know where to put this next part in the video, but unlike the topics I've covered in the past, I still have my whole Zhu Zhu Pets collection from my childhood. So I thought it'd be fun to, you know, get them out of my garage and take a look at them together in 2023. I got this out of my garage like 3 days ago, and it would not stop making noise the moment I picked it up, but I haven't touched it since. So we're gonna take a look. I haven't opened it myself. Ooh, it's such a cute... Okay, let's open it. No one's made any noise yet. Okay. So the first one I picked up is Num Nums. All their names are on the tags, thank God, because I don't think I would be able to remember. And I want to do a little test. They're not making noise anymore. That's kind of concerning me. I know they still work. Let's move the camera back a little bit more. Okay, you need to get out of the way. I'm really scared for you. You know what? Let's see. They were literally, hold on. This is a joke. They were literally making noise. I'm not even kidding. This is Chunk. Chunk. Come on, Chunk. Are you kidding? Okay, if none of them work, this is gonna be embarrassing for me. What the hell?
They were literally...
They were all making noise the other day. What is going on? Is this a joke? Which one was making noise? Oh. You guys hear that? I'm scared. It's supposed to... She's supposed to be moving. She's supposed to be moving, but the wheels are not moving, and she's making this like. I hope the camera's picking that scared. Is that the only one? Which one is this? Jilly. I guess Jilly was the one making all the noise because I don't like this. She's supposed to be moving. Why can't she move? I literally have a TikTok from 2021 that I posted. Hopefully it's still on my account that I barely use anymore. And it was a stitch of someone who was bringing up Zhu Zhu Pets. And I used them and they were moving. I swear.
Zhu Zhu Pets, like these hamsters, were all the rage. And I distinctly remember...
I found mine. Only one of them works though. It's just this one. Okay. Gather my... Stop! No, she's the only one. Oh my god. Anyways, I'm scared. It sounds like she's... Wait, is the mic even picking this up? It sounds like she's like screaming. I don't want to hear this anymore. But that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I've kind of had this topic like in the back of my head for a while now, just because like I grew up with Zhu Zhu Pets and I have such a special place in my heart for them. But I'd kind of been avoiding it, not gonna lie, ever since Athena P made such an incredible deep dive that I feel like really did it justice. I really tried to make mine as distinctly different as possible because, man, people will see that there's multiple nostalgia-based channels and start to discredit your work.
Let us create, damn it.
Also, for context, I normally avoid watching videos on topics I'm gonna potentially cover on my channel, but I'll usually search them to see like what's been done and, you know, what hasn't for the sake of originality. And now, prepare to be shocked. You can count how many videos there are about Zhu Zhu Pets on one hand. With that being said, 2Dream also made a video on their downfall, so both will be linked down below in my description, and I will see you guys in my very next video.